optimizing that to the frame, because Catherine, this is a game that really does focus on each frame.
Indeed, we have seen really tight times on some of the previous matches in this tournament, and they really have to do super well with their moves, with the inputs, all of that kind of stuff, and also choose the right methods of getting from point A to B. And as we see, we have many different ways of movement. We've got the warp dagger, otherwise known as a teleportation dagger. We have sliding, which you can kill enemies with, and also slide under small spaces. And of course, we have some double jumping, and I think we have double jumping, or at least clinging onto walls and then kind of jumping upwards. Many ways to move in this game, and it's really exciting to kind of watch it and see how they kind of get through this, because this is such a brand new game. It hasn't even been released yet. It's going to be released on September 30th, so go ahead and wishlist it on Steam if this appeals to you, because it is looking pretty darn good to me.
Yeah, and I've got to be honest, it really probably will appeal to you if you like any sort of platforming game, or if you just have that competitive streak. Getting shown the top 10 at the end of each level really does make you want to do a little bit better. I've played through this game a little bit myself, and it is very tempting to get yourself faster and faster when you see you fall in like the top 15. You're just like, oh, I can definitely shave off those microseconds. Which is exactly what Salad's doing here, is he's just trying to find out how he's going to shave off those microseconds, and it gets so competitive and quite addictive because of it, to be honest.
Indeed. As I was playing through the game, I did notice Avalon's name in quite a few of the top 10 slots, and I don't blame him, because I really enjoyed going through the levels, and just kind of there's many ways to go through each level. As you can see, Salad is choosing a route, kind of finding the best way to go, the fastest way, and using all of those different techniques to get there, hopefully in the fastest time possible.
Yeah, it's definitely about how you control that warp dagger. As you see, as he throws it forwards as he goes through the level, he is instantly teleporting to it. So if he puts that in the wrong place, he's going to end up teleporting to a less than optimal position, and therefore he's not going to be able to move through the level as swiftly as he could. Other things like throwing it through that small gap there, that's going to make a huge amount of difference, because just missing the knife once, throwing it through a gap like that, or missing the wall like he did there, that's added on, say, 0.5 of a second, that, frankly, with how close some of these races have been, is not time that you have.
I wonder what he's doing there. That's fascinating. Maybe practicing? Just practicing. And that is some very fast reaction time that we saw there, jumping from point to point there. And it is actually a really good skill to practice, because some of these jumps are super tight and require very fast reactions to be able to make them.
Yeah, it's definitely worth pointing out just how precise these warp knife throws are, because as you see there, it's just got the range a little bit shorter than maybe you'd hope for some situations. You saw on that last one there, he threw the knife and it didn't quite hit the wall, so you have to wait for the knife to come back again and then throw it. So it's all about that precision, all about that perfection as you go through, and that's what's so great about games like this, is that they just celebrate that perfection. They take away the sort of mediocre attitude that some platformer games have, I guess, and they say, right, so you've done it alright, now do it perfectly. And this is exactly why these sort of games are so much fun to play, is because runners can just go through them and they can change different routes. I mean, if you look at some of the big speedrun games, sometimes a changing route can really knock around huge amounts of time because someone's discovered something new. Look at Wind Waker, they knocked hours off that speed record. And stuff like this. Although Salad is practicing the same route over and over, someone may find another route through this map that is more efficient, and then it'll become down to optimizing that new route, and it could just cycle continuously. And there's so many levels in this game as well already. It'll be really interesting to see how this tournament unfolds.
Indeed. I think we have something like 100 levels in this game, and that is very significant. It's really nice to kind of practice your platforming skills and get through this. And what I find also quite interesting is, the timing on stuff. Like you said, the distance, the knife has a limited distance, and some of those lava things move. You have to be maybe within the range of that movement in order to get close enough, but you also have to be there at the correct time. So it's kind of fun to watch these speedrunners choose different areas and watch them go for, like he went for that diamond over there, and see which is the best way to get through this.
Yeah, and you're seeing there this run now dead because he missed that small opening with his knife. But it gives him opportunity to use this run to practice before he resets, as he does there. But it just lets him practice a few extra knife throws and similar as well. I'm hoping to see some really good runners in this, to be honest. We're into at the moment we've got the top 64 on one hand, and although we have been whittling them down yesterday and earlier today, it's still 64 out of 4,000 entrants, so the people that we're seeing are going to be really, really fast and have that movement down to the T. I mean, you're seeing here with Salad, he's almost immediately resetting just because he misses a knife throw. He's changed that first section there from 3 knives to get up to 2 knives, which is so much faster, and there he's just done it in 7 seconds-ish, which is just insanely fast, right? Just bonkers fast, and not as fast as Fluffy Prowler though. And that's what I mean, is you look at the scoreboard, and you see how close you are to that other runner, and you just think, oh, if I just missed that frame here, or if I'd done something slightly different with that frame. Because that's what we're talking here, Catherine. We're talking frames of a video game, not seconds, not laps, literal frames of perfection needed.
Indeed, and if you remember the, oh gosh, what were they called? On Super Mario Maker 2, they had those little contests where you can compete against others, and they showed the other people's routes. And I think some of these runners are probably wishing that they knew those routes in order to shave off those precious, precious fractions of a second to be able to get to those higher positions.
Yes, it's the ninja runs you're thinking of there. And
yes.
It was truly addictive. I remember when I was playing on those sort of games, you could you could run what you thought was an almost perfect time on your first go through, because you didn't see the shadows until you went through the first time. And then you go and you see someone's done the exact same route as you, but they just skip a corner somewhere, and you're like, so I can do it faster. And then you can start iterating and improving and just moving forward, and that's exactly what this game could be in the future. Once where it hasn't been released yet, it's out on Thursday, guys, but where it hasn't been released yet, these routes are still unknown. There's not YouTube channels dedicated to the best route and the fastest time and stuff yet. And once that comes out, people will start having more time to play with the game, more time to look for those little, like now, you see Salad's trying to look for a way over the top. Stuff like that, people will start finding it and then sharing it in the community that we have. And then they'll get faster and faster until it just gets insane, and I can't wait for it.
Right, and it's exciting to have a brand new game in this genre, to have that opportunity to be one of the first to get the top speed times and create content on that if a person is a content creator as well. But just the addictiveness of having this brand new game to just show what you can do and be on those leaderboards is really, really exciting.
Yeah, and like you say, for me, I've managed to get myself on these leaderboards, but as soon as this becomes more popular, as soon as more people are playing it, I'm just going to disappear off them. But I've still had that moment of pride where I'm like, you know what, yeah, I've got 4th on this track. And it feels really good, and that's the beauty, like you say, of having a first look at a game. Now it looks like Salad's taken a slightly different route through this, which is interesting because it shows you the timing can be similar, but a small change, although he has gone back now to this route. But do you know what I mean? Like the small change to your route can change the timing quite significantly, even without having to look at the micro play, just looking at the macro route choices, and that I just love that so much.
Yeah, it's fascinating to see, how the runners think, where they're going, what they anticipate, how they can get around, and just, I don't know, I'm kind of glued to watching him do this.
Definitely, yeah, it's really interesting. And the thing is, like you said about the timing and making sure you're in the right place at the right time, these silver saw blades that you see spinning around, your knife can't actually go through them. So if you get there at the wrong time and your knife hits the saw blade instead of the wall behind it, then you'll stop dead. You're not going through that, you are not walking forwards at all. And it can knock off, again, like I said, a couple of microseconds from your time, but that's enough to knock you down a place on the leaderboard.
Right. Now, he goes into an area where he goes left and collects a diamond. Can you tell us the significance of that particular item?
I cannot. I'll be honest. I don't know what the significance of that diamond is. I know that the version that we were given to look at was a different build, but you can also see he does take routes where he doesn't collect the diamond. Maybe it's a personal challenge that he wants to see how fast he can get up there. Maybe it's just a practice point. Maybe there is a time bonus for it. So in the core game, collecting these little time capsules that you see around, it fills up a meter by the timer, and you can spend them to gain 5 seconds. But that doesn't affect the leaderboard time. But maybe the diamond does. I'm just not sure, to be honest.
Yeah, I needed some of those capsules as I went through the first time, that's for sure. Because the some of these levels are quite difficult to get through, and it's good to have that ability to get a little bit of more time if you need it. Of course, these runners just go through so fast, they don't need any of that extra help. But they are fun to kind of collect anyway, and they are kind of scattered around the different routes, so the game doesn't give you any hints of which way is the best, I think. It just gives you many options, and you kind of have to figure that out for yourself. And as we see, he is now stuck behind that saw blade there, just having to wait for it, and not feeling good about that, that's for sure.
Yeah, certainly a challenge there. It's exactly like I was saying a moment ago. It's just, if you're not there at the right time and you don't line it up perfectly, it's just not happening. But further to your point of these capsules, you know, and that if you don't have the speed to get through the levels in the base time of 30 seconds, there is a more casual way you can play it. You can pick up these capsules. There is a storyline to it, to the game if you play it through, which these capsules do have significance to, but I don't want to spoil anything. You guys should just wishlist the game and get it on Thursday to find out. But the fact is, there is a casual way to play this game. You don't just have to rush into this insane sort of speed that these guys are going through.
Indeed,
as well. Sorry, I was going to say chat as well, just confirming that the diamond does nothing at the moment, so he's just doing it just to challenge himself, practice a little bit.
And maybe for future, in case diamond does do something in the future.
Yeah, exactly. It could be something that unlocks the exit in the future, and that could be something that you know, this game could go on to. It's so nice, like you said, to have a new game that is specifically designed for this sort of gameplay. Like, a lot of people have been comparing it to Celeste, and I won't argue the visuals are very similar. The music is awesome, and Celeste's music was also awesome. But the games are dissimilar in the fact that this game has been built for it, where Celeste, we kind of enforce speedrunning onto it. I know you could time yourself on Celeste, I get that, but it wasn't the same as this, where you had the leaderboards and short, quick levels. So it could be interesting to see, as we develop with the game, as the tournaments get more interesting, do they add things in like that diamond? Do they force you to collect them? And then do they move them around levels that runners already think they know perfectly, when in fact they now need to think about them in a whole new way?
Indeed. One of the things I did want to mention is that the game has several different modes. There's the campaign mode where you unlock each of these levels, and that's where you get the story from. And there is also like a competitive mode where you can play couch co-op with people around you, and that could be quite an interesting thing as well. I wonder if there will be tournaments with that in the future if it is online. Yeah, but in the meantime, you can play it together with people in your house.
Yeah, and with things reopening after the ridiculous couple of years we've had, it would be interesting to see it, the next conventions that we have. Can we get this game there? Can we play together in person? Can we see Salad not play Mijzical live instead of, over Twitch? It'd be awesome.
That would be cool. And just to remind you, Aeon Drive is going to be available for PC, PS4, Switch, and Xbox One when it comes out on Thursday. That is the 30th. So make sure that you wishlist it because hopefully you're seeing what we're seeing is awesome visuals, really fluid movement. That's one thing that I cannot say enough about. It feels really good to play.
Absolutely, and when you are having games like this is exactly why Celeste did so well. When you've got games like this built around tight platforming and perfect inputs, if the game does something weird with your inputs, if there's extra code behind it once your inputs go in, then suddenly it feels like you're making mistakes that aren't really your fault. Whereas when they have the controls as tight as they felt in what I've played so far, if you make a mistake, it's your fault. You haven't understood the range correctly or similar, whereas you know, it could feel like it was the game's fault. But I've not had this with this from what I've played so far.
Mm-hmm.
Just loving. I'm watching him do that start every time, and it's just so much fun to see him get those. Now he's got 2 knives on those steps at the beginning instead of using 3, and it's just a small improvement that really has sped up his time for the beginning. Now he's just got to work out that middle section and then the end, and that's how these runners spend their 10 minutes. You know, they find their route, they go, right, okay, route's done. Now I just got to get it right. And in the game that we had, unfortunately there was a little bit of cancellation, but the game we had just before this was, the runners had 30 minutes to do it. It was a top 32 to top 16 game, and it was between Fluffy and Dave, and they ended up running practically the same route, and it really did just come down to that extra knife throw that Fluffy had that just edged out at the end there. I mean, like, coming up to the end of that race, we were watching the timers tick down either side. It was really, really close. So it'll be interesting to see how Salad gets on, because after this little exhibition that we've actually got Samurai Man versus River Wind, that is. And whoever wins that will then go on to face Samurai in a level where... not Samurai, sorry. Well, they'll go on to face Salad. Yep. in a 30-minute for 1 level match, so they've got extra time to go through it and really sort of perfect those routes.
Right.
Okay, well, I've actually just had it in my ear from the booth that unfortunately Riverwind has also had to drop out of the tournament, which is a real shame. But it means that Samurai Man will go straight through into the next round, and he will also get an opportunity to just show us what he can do whilst he's given a level to go through. He might even take the same level that Salad's taken as like a, what's the right word here, pre-match that's not really a match sort of thing, like a little practice run.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see that matchup. This is because, as we're seeing, Salad is really perfecting the movement through this. Obviously showing incredible skill with this. And, I want to see more competitors. I want to see how they're playing this, if they're hanging around practicing right now, or if they are, what they're thinking, what they're doing to prepare for the next match.
Yeah, and one good thing about this as well is they're on a specific build. They're on a tournament build of the game. So the leaderboard you're seeing with just 8 entries on it, it's just the 8 people in this tournament that were expected to go through this level. It's not even including any practice runs that people are doing in the background and such. Although I did read that the version of the game given out to people to practice with is different to the version that we're doing in the tournament, in that the levels available have been increased to this tournament, so that, you know, we can get some more variety, more new levels and such as we go through, which could be quite fun.
That's really awesome. And I guess they play a certain build because of the leaderboards, probably because they only want to see the people who are in the tournament who are actually competing right now. So it's not overrun by other names that other people might have tried the game and played it to prepare and see if they wanted to join the tournament, that kind of thing. So it's a nice way of doing that.
Absolutely. And then you've also got to consider, you know, live shows. Well, how many times have you been to Pace Live where someone has run a game in their free time in an hour and a half, and then something goes wrong at the live event and suddenly it drops down to an hour 45 or something? You know, it's a common occurrence, so you don't want to be getting confused with, say, Salad doing his 7-second run here, but maybe when he was in a more comfortable environment, he did it in 6 seconds. You know, and it's good to get that sort of competitive edge as well. Make sure that it's not just about the game, it's also about the runners themselves and how they think and how they work under this pressure.
Right, it's really important, and hopefully Samurai Man is prepared for that, because I don't know when we found out that Riverwind was not competing, but then Samurai and IISalad have moved on directly to the 32 competitor race, up from the 64 64 qualifiers. And here you can see our top 32 and top 16 brackets that are already starting to get filled up. You can see Salad versus Samurai Man is going to be our next matchup, which is going to start very shortly.
Yeah, so, like Catherine said, just looking at these top 32 now, the round that we've just looked at has been stripped away just for a bit of clarity to show you how much fun we're going to have over the next few days.